Hey, it's MK, and I am here with a Stretch the Sketch layout for you guys today. I am also playing along with Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, and today's sketch is by Kristen Foster. I apologize. And I'm playing along with my counterfeit kit still for the month of June. So these are a couple of the things that I have picked out. I've got this almost like a frame that is from my 2024 advent calendar, 23 advent calendar. I have a couple of these little sticker things, 3D stickers that are from a give take table. Some enamel dots from Cedar House, that is from American Crafts. I've got this border here that is from Creative Memories, and then a couple branding strips that are from the two different companies. One is Celebrate and the other one is 49 and Market. And these are the collection names. So Chasing Adventures and then Wanderlust Explorer. So I thought I would add both of those to my layout. And then I've got some random bits and pieces. I've got a couple of these paper clips. They're travel paper clips that are in the shop. Well, they used to be. I don't know if they still are. I have a couple of these tickets. These are also from the shop. And so they've got stars, hearts, diamonds, things like that. So it's a whole collection of tickets, and I usually like to just stick with one shape. I have my Dusty Attic little tabs here. I picked out a couple from that. And then I've got some wood veneer pieces. One is by the ticket, and I picked the plane, and then the other one is Abstract Planes, and so it just has really cool tribal art around it. I have several photos because I'm going to be taking Kristen's sketch and stretching it across 2 pages because that is the name of the game for Stretch the Sketch. I'm also going to be using the stencil by Vicki Boutin and Rusty Hinge ink. And then from Celebrate, I picked out 2 of these almost industrial looking papers. Now, I love this side. I really, really do. But for this one, I felt like all these rivets and things are something I needed. From Minte Traveler, I'm bringing back this piece that I haven't used since day one. And I'm going to map my photos on that. I have this sticker sheet that I have been trying to de-stash. I'm going to use it, you guys. I feel like I'm on a roll. I'm really loving the fact that I at least get one sticker on each layout. So I'm super excited to see how far I can get. So I'm going to be using 2 pieces of white cardstock, and then I went to my Cricut machine and made a cloud that basically I made the whole cloud, and then I cut it in half. I sliced it in half so I could cut it out of 2 sheets of this paper. I wasn't too worried about the fact that they matched up, like the pattern was exact on each side. I wasn't really worried about that part of it at all, but I did just design the cloud in Cricut. I didn't design it. I picked a cloud image, and then I blew it up to, I want to say 23 by, or maybe even 23 and a half by 11 and a half. And then I sliced it in half to get this giant cloud, because when you take all of Kristen's circular bits and you weld them all together, that's exactly what they looked like to me, was this huge cloud. So I wanted to make sure that at both ends of my cloud, I had that real good circular element, and I had a really good loopy cloud that was very circular rather than more sketchy, if that makes any sense. I didn't want a super flat oval cloud. I wanted to make sure that it was that it looked like it came from a ton of circles, like Kristen's sketch. So I'm going to take my pencil and outline my my cloud so I know where to put my stencil, and I'm just going to go ahead and follow my pencil lines and go and use this Rusty Hinge to basically just outline a little bit of the cloud. I don't want the whole thing outlined. I just wanted little highlights here and there. So I'm doing a couple little spots up at the top and one little spot down at the bottom. It's just I feel like it's just a little effect that adds to the layout, and it also helps with that white space that I felt like was going to be, I keep saying feel like, oh my gosh, I always pick a word. What word is it going to be today? Today, it's feel like. Sorry, you guys. I hope I hyper focus on one word every voiceover. It's hilarious. Anyways, so yeah, I wanted to just highlight the clouds because I didn't want all that white space. I didn't know where else I was going to be putting anything else. So I wanted to make sure that it was taken care of before I put the whole layout together and then change my marbles and decide, oh, I don't like all that white space. So another thing too is I'm just going to take my brown blending brush, and currently it has gathered twigs on it, and I'm just darkening the bottom part. I'm not darkening all of the rusty hinge, but I'm just trying to darken the bottom part so that way it looks like more of a shadow behind the cloud. And then once I'm satisfied with that, I will go ahead and just glue the whole cloud down. I really love this. Janet kept saying, well, you're going to cover up most of that paper. And I thought, well, I'm okay with that because it is a very busy pattern. But I just feel like there it is again, feel like, tally marks. We're going to start saying, how many times did she say it in one video? Anyways, I just thought that this paper reminded me of how the plane was put together. So they put it together with panels and rivets and everything else. And it just really made me feel like, oh my goodness. Yep. There it is. Anyways, I went ahead and I matted my photos on that blue paper, and I'm going to go ahead and distress all of the edges. I just didn't know how flat this layout was going to be based off of all the elements that I picked out. I know that I picked out a couple of the layered stickers that I got from a give-take table, but I wasn't sure if I was even going to use them, right? So when I show you guys all this stuff that I picked out, that does not mean I'm actually going to end up using it. And here I've got a very brown and blue layout, but all of my embellishments are mostly green. And at first I was like, ooh, did I realize that I did that? I must have. I had to have. Yeah, it was one of those things. And then I just went with it. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to add green to the layout because why not? Eventually, if this paper was real, it would be rusting anyways, right? And turn that oxide green blue color. So yeah, I'm going to go with it. So once I figured out how I want my photos to land. Now, one of the things also too about stretching a sketch is that normally these single photos or these single sketches have 1 photo, 2 photo, maybe even 3 photos on a single layout. And so when you stretch the sketch, and especially with a single photo, you kind of have to wing it from here and decide how many photos, where are the photos going to go, how are they going to go. And I wanted to make sure that I had at least 1 photo down at the bottom, which would be in the middle of my layout, on one of the edges, representing that single photo. And so that is me on the plane because technically this layout is not folded in half, but on its side, right? And so that's where that photo was going to go. And I really wanted it in that area, but I put it a little bit more closer to the edge so I had room for everything else. And also in this sketch, there are 3 lines representing waves of an ocean. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to put that in the middle of my layout. I just don't think it would look good. So I took my branding strips and I went ahead and filled up that dead space up in the upper left-hand corner. And those are going to be my little lines that are represented over there. And then I just divided and conquered. I just took all of my little elements. I found the little gaps where my photos left, which create cool little shelves and little nooks for all of my embellishments, and just decided to divvy up all of my wood veneer. So I didn't want all the wood veneer in one spot. I didn't want all the labels in one spot, so on and so forth. And so I just started with my largest pieces, worked all the way down, and then made sure that I was going to have all the pieces enough to scatter throughout the layout, but still look cohesive, right? Where I use one of these, so what is its matching companion? What makes it look like it's not a loner throughout the layout? So that is just one of the things that I do when I am guessing at where embellishments go. So yes, that's what I do, is I'm a big guesser. I also took some old paper ink and inked up I think it's oxide ink, by the way, and inked up my little labels from Dusty Attic, so those little chipboard words. And I have to tell you guys, this layout ends up getting a ton of airplane icons that just was not planned. It really wasn't. So I've got an airplane paper clip. I have 3 airplane wood veneers. I have an airplane that is cut out of my little tag there that I'm going to work on here pretty soon. I end up with at least 2 more airplanes on this layout. I have an airplane in my little ticket border that I have. I mean, airplane city. And at first I thought, is that too many airplanes? But who on earth could have too many airplanes? So yeah, that thought was like 6 seconds long. So here I found a tag that was on that sticker sheet from Close to My Heart. And I just didn't like the red. The red was definitely not a color I was going to add. And I had a scrap of that blue from what I used to map my photos. And so I just used that little scrap and went ahead and covered up the red and topped it with blue. So I thought that was perfect, because then I actually bring a little bit more of the blue showing, since I distressed the edges and you really can't see the blue unless you look at the layout up close and personal. Also, too, I decided to take this tag, which is actually a sticker, you guys. I don't know if I've ever said that when buying the advent calendars, but they are actually stickers. I don't usually use them as stickers because then I feel like they just get really flimsy. But for this one, I wanted to back it, and I just took whatever was left on my brown blending brush, and I took a scrap of white cardstock. I always have scraps off to the side of cardstock, white, black, and then whatever color is in the kit. So I always have those handy off to my right hand side, and I just blended out a color so it wasn't stark white, and then went ahead and adhered my ticket to that inked up paper. And then I'm actually going to take more of that inked up paper and back my little ticket border as well, because I just feel like the words and the elements of the ticket border get really lost. So for this layout, it is going to be a longer layout than usual. One, it's a double page. Double pages are always a little longer than single pages. But I loved the fact that this little black ticket or tag has 214 on it, and that is relatively close to the dates of when I was flying. I was actually flying, well, not this one. This one is at the end of the trip. But I left, I want to say 215 or 216. And so it made me ecstatic. Now, granted, I didn't leave in 67. I have no clue what the 67 was all about, but I really wanted the 214 to show, because this was relatively the beginning of this particular trip, and it just made me giggle and so excited that, oh my gosh, that was not planned or anything. So I also took another one of those stickers from Close to My Heart sticker sheet, and I cut it in half. I think it said Wander, and I just cut it in half to get more of the green color, because, I don't have enough green on this layout. And I'm using it as a tab on the side of that little airplane ticket because I needed another airplane on this layout. That's just, I realized how many airplanes were on this layout, not to mention the planes that I'm taking pictures of. But my goodness. So I'm using the 2 spots here that are already blended out on my scrap piece of paper to back these 2 tickets, and I just cut these 2 tickets off from the original border. That's all that I did. Because I only need the 3 up at the top. I didn't need all of them. And to be honest, I could have probably used these 2 tickets somewhere else, but I really needed some fillers for my other clusters. And this cluster here over on the left is actually, I'm pretending, yes, I like to pretend, that it's so full, it's actually spilling out underneath the 2 photos, if that makes any sense. So I'm treating it as if it's just one giant cluster, except for the fact that the photos are dividing it. And so here's where I decided that I'm going to go ahead and ink some more up. Again, just using my leftover of what was on my blender brush. I did not re-ink it or anything. And then I'm taking the tickets, and instead of gluing them straight down and then trying to cut around all the little grooves and nooks and crannies, I put adhesive behind it, and then I just stuck one down at a time and cut out little squares, because that's technically all I needed to be behind the tickets. Now here's my camera's never done this to me, you guys. All of a sudden I'm out of focus, but it's only on the left side, and I don't understand what it's doing. So I do apologize for it being fuzzy on the side that I happen to be working on, but I don't know what's going on. So I will have to take a look at my camera and see, because I didn't know that it was doing this until I started actually, editing this video. So I do apologize about that. It does go away eventually, but it does get blurry in some spots just on the left. Somebody tell me what's going on. I also took some of that twine. I don't know if I've talked about this or not, but that super cool twine from Stampin' Up! And it's this green twine, and it comes in, they call it a braided cord, I think is what they call it. I don't really remember off the top of my brain, but it's super cool. It comes in really, really thin, and because it's braided, once you're happy with how you've applied it, then you can sit there and widen it and take apart that braid and make it just look, to me, fabulous. I absolutely love it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work on my little bits going on here. And at first I had no clue what I was doing. And my adhesive is so strong, I had to leave this 4th piece in. I should have just left 3. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's okay, because now I'm going to create a little block going on, something other than just the little tickets, and add a little bit more, which I'm super happy with by the time I'm done, because the tickets would have just looked plain and boring. I don't think they would have drawn any attention at all. But I took my branding strips, applied the 2 as I wanted them, and then just took the leftovers and added them back into the rows, right? That's all I did. And so now I don't have any leftovers. That makes me excited too. So I've got a little journaling block, and I found a 3D passport sticker, which added another little black element, because I only had that one black element. So I'm super glad that I got to bring in at least one more. There's a lot of black in my photos, so I'm okay with it only being the 2 black elements, but I really did like that. And then I'm going to bring in another one of these little stickers, and the geotag stickers for some reason are in circles. So I just cut them out so I can actually have a geotag. And I'm going to put it right up next to my little potty person paper clip, so that way she doesn't look a little boring up there. And last but not least, because, like Sandy always says, more is more, I'm going to add these little gold enamel dots to my layout. I feel like there it is again. They're rivets to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, it would look so cool if I had these little rivets in all of the little clusters. And of course, because I'm trying to use up my enamel dots, I'm going to use the whole row on this one layout. I know it seems like a lot when you think about a whole row, but honestly, if you put 3 in each little cluster, that's usually the whole row. You get 3 of each size And so, yes, it ends up working out to where you have enough for all 3 clusters that are on your layout, and then you're done. And I won't miss, trust me, I won't even remember that I used them on this layout. To be honest. All right, you guys, so that is my layout for today. I absolutely love how this turned out. I think this one is going to be my new favorite until the next layout that I make. Who knows? But yes, I had a blast creating this layout and adding the colors to it, and the clusters were so much fun. It just was. It was a fun layout. I love the giant cloud. I love the inking behind the cloud, and I'm okay with having, 24 airplanes on my layout. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, truly appreciate it. Kristen, thank you so much for allowing us to use your sketch for Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. Don't forget to check out all the links that I have down below. I have playlists and Facebook links and YouTube links. I've got the works downstairs in the description box below. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, truly appreciate it. And I will check you guys all soon. Bye.